So what's the going into? I know that conscious home design is not a style, but what's a minimum square footage
Mm,
in your in your thought process here
right.
that you almost need to have to make it worthwhile?
Sure, sure. So I did work in my internship back in Boston. I worked for the firm that did the Henry David Thoreau Institute at Walden Pond. And Henry David Thoreau, for those who don't know, was one of the founders of the Transcendentalist movement. And he wrote Walden Pond, and really the art of living simply was his whole sort of premise. And he built himself a one-room cabin, and in this cabin, he had. I went there, and I was able to we built a reproduction of the original cabin, which is lost now. But the reproduction is laid out the same square footage and the same layout as his original cabin was, because he sketched it out. So we know the records of what it looked like. In there, he has six of the nine essential spaces. There are a few, it's simply not big enough to incorporate all of them. And even with someone who was living so intentionally and so simply, he didn't spend his whole life there. He only spent a couple of summers there and a winter. He spent less than 2 years living in that cabin, and then he moved back into town with his friends and enjoyed a big house, because it simply wasn't big enough for him to really meet all of his needs. So, because we have nine essential spaces that need to be supported, to comfortably do that, I really like to give people at least 600 square feet, and that's for a single or a couple if they have a very compatible lifestyle. We can comfortably do that in 600 square feet. I'm not a fan for long-term living, for sustainable living over years. Anything smaller than that, one-room cottage or tiny homes, are not going to be conducive. You can do that for a short term, but for if you're really going to create a home that you're going to live in, you need about 600 square feet.